gamers. Oh sheesh, welcome back to another amazing live stream by yours truly. How are we? I hope we're all doing good. Today we are doing some more of our life. Sorry, I was adjusting my seat as per usual. Today is the last official day of Love Month. It is the last day of February. So we gotta end out on what I feel like is the pick of the season. You know what I'm saying? It was actually a tie between if I was gonna play Our Life or if I was gonna play Dream Daddy. The only reason I didn't play Dream Daddy is just because Icarus was busy, so we missed out on the Dream Daddy, but we do have Our Life because those are my top two dating sims at the moment. I mean, I hesitate to call this a dating sim because the dating picking that you can do is based on if you have the DLC and we don't, so we get one option, so we either are going to be single or not. Luckily, I like Cove, so it's fine. It worked out. But yeah, either way, I'm excited for this to be like the last official day. But like I said, some of these we're going to continue on with in March, but it's not going to be every day. They're going to be sprinkled in with the other shit that I play. But obviously, I'm probably going to end up playing regular games first before I play any freaking dating sims. But yeah. Let me switch this over to the gamer screen and also pause the lo-fi beats and give us the desktop audio. Okay, there we go. Also, I did add a new sound for subscribing and resubscribing, so we'll see how it goes. It's part of a song, so I don't know if they're gonna come and try to kill me for using part of the song. So if it happens, we'll use it as a test to see if they smite me for using it. Because if not, we'll go back. Or if they do, we'll go back, and if not, then well, new sound, baby. Yeah, but you can customize Cove, so basically it's like 80 different romance options. That's true. Okay, let's hit continue. Oh, baby, she wanna dance with the ghost. She wants to leave me, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Is that so? Haunt 148 Meme also happy 1 year.
Oh shit,
Haunt 148
Hydro.
Wet Blink. Haunt 148 Wet Blink.
Happy 1 year. Oh my goodness, thank you much. Oh my god, I can't even speak. You got me flabbergasted. Thank you so much for subbing for a freaking year, bro. You are actually the GOAT. And that was our new little sound. See, it's relevant because he said, my baby, she want to dance with a ghost. She want to leave me, yeah. I'm the ghost that she leaving you for. You are baby, and you're leaving your whoever for me, who is the ghost. And it's also a K-pop joke because it's from a K-pop song from NCT U called Okay. Literally okay, exclamation point. But yeah, we've done these first 3, which is crazy. We only have 2 more, and then we're out of this phase of our life, and that's crazy. So, which one did I click? Dinner. We're having dinner, apparently. Are we inviting my mans over for dinner? Sheesh. Also, Hydro, that seemed like it was a paid advertisement. It's like, oh, is that so? It's different? Bet, let me see. Let's fucking go. All right, let's roll up. Actually, let me take a drink first, and then we'll roll up, because then I'll officially be ready. Okay. Okay, hold on. I love my little drinky drink. It's my little frozen drink. It's so good. Okay. Sunlight shone through the windows as you sat in your living room, your home phone pressed to your ear. Cove was on the other end. LMAO, too well timed. I saw the notif for the resub when I first joined and said to myself, let me save this for a good moment. Well, you did it, bro. You did it. And it came to me on a silver platter. Help. Bro, I need to make another emote. There's so many different ones that I want to do. I'm just like not sure which one. It'd been shaping up to be an ordinary day, like any other, until Cove had called unexpectedly. He sounded unusually nervous greeting you. You listened silently as he kept talking, his words stilted. What's wrong, Pooks? So, I was just, wondering, do you want to come over to my house for dinner tonight? The question came out strangely, almost like he rehearsed it a few times beforehand. Your eyes widened a little. You hadn't expected this to be the reason behind the call. I would say hive mind emote, but I got no clue how that would work. Listen, I've thought about it, and I have an idea. Bro, I need to do some brainstorming tonight and just see what I can cook up. Because, like, there were certain things I wanted. Especially for, like, animated ones. I don't know how many animated slots I have left, but I might have 5. So I might have, well, 5 total. So I might have 3 remaining. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. But either way, because I was looking, I was like, oh, what if I did a little Pat one? But, like, I don't have, I mean, I guess you could do Oz. He's got a hand. A little Pat. But yeah, I do, a hive mind one would be really fun. That'd be a good free one, I think. Anyways. Yeah, I'll go. What the fuck?
That's,
It was, huh? Oh. It seemed that Cove still had more to say, and you just interrupted him. Oops. Cool, well. He stumbled for a bit, trying to gather his thoughts again. Well, wait, now I want to know what he was gonna say. Wait, now I want to go back. Now, sorry, man, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was overeager. I'm gonna keep listening. No, go ahead, cook your shit, bruh. Cove continued. His next words sounded rehearsed too and tinged with nervousness. Oh no, he says it anyway, but like, you know, I didn't want to interrupt him. My mom and dad, they really want you to be there. If your parents don't have a problem with it, they asked me to ask you. You took a moment to think. Dinner at home would be quiet and uneventful today. If you really wanted to, you could go to Cove's instead. Cove spoke up again, breaking your train of thought. His voice was softer than before. Also, I want you to be there too. Can you? Come over, I mean? Yeah, I can come. I'll have to ask my mom to get back to you. No, I can't make it. Why am I the only one invited? Or did you mean the whole family? Yeah, I can come. What the fuck? Thanks, Luna. I'll let them know when I can. He sounded noticeably relieved by your response. Was you coming over for dinner today that serious? He spoke to you for a while longer to explain what time to come over and other details, then hung up. And that was that. For now, anyway. Soon enough, the sun dipped out of the sky and evening came. It was time for you to head to Cove's house. After letting Elizabeth know you were leaving, she didn't look away from the TV, just grunted. You make the small journey across the street. You knocked a couple of times on the heavy door to their condo. As you waited for an answer, you found yourself contemplating being a guest while both of Cove's parents were there. It was exciting, you were apprehensive, the idea made you curious. You didn't think it would be especially interesting, you couldn't say you were thrilled. I mean, I'd be a little nervous. I'd be like, sussy. I wouldn't say I'm excited. You know, I'm a little either curious or apprehensive. I'm a little apprehensive. You didn't know what to expect from this dinner party. You didn't get too much time with your thoughts, though. The door opened soon enough, and Cove's mom, Kyra, stood in the frame, smiling warmly at you.
Come on.
Hey, girlie. Hey. Oh, I forgot what voice I gave her. Hey, Aluna. Welcome. Please, come on in. Oh my god, thanks, girly. Oh my god, I don't think we've ever seen his house before. She opened the door wider and moved to make room. You stepped inside, allowing her to shut it behind you. Because, like, he's always at my house. I don't feel like I'm ever at his house. Thanks so much for coming over. I know it's kind of last second. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
It's also super posh. You think so? Of course. Just make yourself at home. It's not my home, but I've been given permission to say that. Hey, Luna. Welcome to our humble abode. You jerk your head toward the sound of Mr. Holden's voice. He waved at you briefly from the kitchen, with his back turned and a large spoon in his hand. Hope you're hungry, because I'm whipping up a lot of tasty stuff, bro. I actually am hungry. I'm about to take a bite of this burrito I have next to me in real life. Ha ha ha. True to his word, I continue eating. True to his word, you heard something sizzling on the stove. You closed your eyes and inhaled. It smelled spicy and savory. Ooh, that sounds good as hell. With Mr. Holden busy and Cove nowhere to be seen, it was just you and Kyra. She gave you a wry smile. Bro, where's my man's at? He sure is. Well, I've been barred from cooking the entire time I'm staying here. Can you believe that? She nudged you with an elbow. Mr. Holden scoffed good-naturedly, then spoke from over his shoulder. You're on vacation, Kyra. You need to accept that already. She yelled back, amusement obvious on her face and in her tone. People still cook when they're on vacation. Everyone's gotta eat. It's not like I'm some celebrity who can go out for every meal or hire a private chef.
Sorry.
Well, in this house, you're a VIP. Bro, they still like each other. There's no way they don't. Kyra smiled and shook her head quietly, then she turned to face you once more.
Well,
sorry about that, Luna. Here I was, trying to strike up a conversation with you, and Cliff just had to butt in. I don't butt in. She eyed him, chuckling in disbelief. He wasn't exactly disproving her point with that. Bro, yo, if you're gonna come for me, I'm obviously gonna respond, bruh. Kyra leaned over to whisper to you. It's okay. He likes to be included. But since Clifford insisted on cooking all by himself, he'll have to wait. The two of us can chat. Her next question continued to be said in a hushed tone, just to be safe. So, how are you doing? What do you mean? I mean, I'm like good, I guess. Yeah, this is me. I'm like, oh, I'm good. I mean, like, what am I supposed to say? Kyra didn't seem too convinced by your awkward phrasing, but she nodded anyway. She opened her mouth to say something more, but some lightly pounding footsteps caught your attention. You checked to see Cove emerge from the hall a few moments later. He might have heard all the commotion and left his room to see what was going on. He was like, "You're not gonna tell me she was here!" He quickly took stock of the situation. His cheeks tinted pink at the sight of you standing in his living room, and his hand came up to rub his arm almost bashfully. Luna, you made it. Thanks for coming. Cove's voice was unnaturally loud, as if he thought you wouldn't be able to hear him from where you were, only a few feet away. Hi, Cove. You doing okay? Yeah, I'm fine. You didn't sound convincing at all. You narrowed your eyes suspiciously, but didn't call him out on it. If you could talk to him alone tonight, maybe you'd ask him what was going on then. It was when you glanced away from Cove that you noticed his parents watching the two of you interact. Oh my god, bruh. This is the worst part about, like, having, like, obvious crushes on each other. Like, the parents are like, eyes. watches you, and I'm like, leave me alone, bro. Like, every interaction y'all have is under a freaking microscope. Cove noticed their stares too, meeting them with narrowed eyes.
So...
Are we having dinner now? Not yet, bud. I'm still cooking. Is it just me, or is Cove more orange than usual? I think it's because he's got like more tan skin, and then it's very orange in this room right now because it's like evening. It's golden hour, so the lighting isn't helping, I don't think. Alright, I'm gonna go back to my room. As he turned to leave, he bent his head to the side to face you. Like, am I, like, was that an invitation or something? You coming? I mean, you didn't ask me to come. You just said, alright, I'm going to my room. You didn't say we're going to my room. It looks like cheap spray tan. The lighting's doing him dirty. The question was quiet, but you heard it clearly. You smiled, pleased that he asked, and nodded in the affirmative. Cove turned fully and made his way down the hall. Have fun, you two. We'll call you when food's ready to go. With that, you followed after Cove. The two of you made your way down the hall. This was the first time you were invited to see Cove's room. You had visited Cove's room before, but only rarely. Going over to Cove's room was a standard occurrence for you nowadays. Who's Kyra? Kyra is Cove's mom. She's visiting for the summer. Listen, this is our actual first time visiting, but what's the lore, bro? We're supposed to be like each other's pookies, so I feel like it's fair to say that I'm like, he's over my house all the time, I'm over his house all the time, because we're just like that. We're just like that, bruh. Yeah, the divorcee. I'm kind of hoping they're gonna get back together, to be honest. They're kind of cute. I'm kind of hoping for a reunion tour. I think they needed to have time apart, and then they realized, wait a minute, I still like you. Like, I don't think they're going to get back together, but like my Delulu ass wants them to. You know what I mean? Yeah, but him inviting you over could also be a really sweet occurrence. That is true. It's more intimate. That's true. Should we say this is the first time? Or should we, like, have been here, like, a couple of times before? How fresh we talking? Maybe first time so you can snoop. That's true. Okay. I mean, yeah, because, like, listen, he's always... this is my headcanon. Like, I don't usually go over to his house because he's always coming over to my house. Which is, like, actually true. Like, that's actually canon. Cove got to the door first, opening it and stepping inside. You joined him. Okay, he's got a little fish tank. The bunk bed, not bunk bed. Bro's just using it as storage, I guess. He's got his little, okay, cute little room. My fault. You look like a nerd, though. This is definitely a nerd's room. I mean that so lovingly. Sorry, I kept sipping my drink. There was a mat on the floor in front of the door. As you stepped over the threshold into his room, you felt the crunch of sand beneath your feet. Bro, you don't vacuum. You glanced down. Sand was clustered around the entrance. You even spotted smaller clumps of it, smaller amounts of it, dusting the rest of the room's floor. Freak. Though you hadn't anticipated it, you weren't surprised at the sight. Of course, Beach Boy Cove Holden would get his room all sandy. So, this is my room. Cove was a bit shy as he said so, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt using one hand and vaguely gesturing to the space with the other. There's stuff you can sit on if you want. You looked over at the desk chair as an option. When you turned back, Cove was already sitting on the edge of his large bed. Damn, his bed's bigger than mine, bro. This is unfair. This is what happens when you're an only child. Are you trying to make your own beach with all this sand? It's nice. Thanks for letting me come over. Yeah, I'm honestly probably gonna say this first thing, like, damn, bro.
Not really.
No. Babe, I was sarcastic. I was being sarcastic. But it'd be cool if I could, though. Get I'm nervous about you being there. True. Interesting that he has a bunk bed. Yeah, that's, like, weird. I mean, though, to be fair, like, my friend had a bunk bed, but I don't think they ever used it as, like, for two people. Like, they just had one. So, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. You couldn't help recalling a long time ago, Cove explaining his childhood dream home would be something located right on the shore of a beach. Maybe that idle thought still held an appeal for him. It made you smile to think about. You didn't sit anywhere. No, I just saw I was standing there. Bro, I'm sitting next to him on the bed, the fuck? As soon as you sat next to him, Cove grew tense, his back went stiff, and he ducked his head away. He tried to hide a trembling smile.
Oh my god.
Bro, chill. Be cool. It's fine. He said it under his breath, as if he didn't want you to hear. You obviously did, and easily, since you were right beside him. Bro, narrator, you don't need to be dragging him, please. You were nervous about that. You smiled comfortingly at him. You chuckled over it. You felt charmed by his reaction. Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I'd probably be trying not to laugh. I'm trying to think, like, what would I actually do in this situation? I would probably laugh. But I don't want to laugh. Because I don't want him to think I think it's funny. But, like, I probably would laugh. Should I smile comfortingly at him? What do you guys think? I think I've laughed out of nervousness and be really charmed by it. Listen, I'm like, oh my god, he likes me. He's nervous. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna feel charmed, love. I am kind of a little bit of a deviant. Bro, I'm about to Detroit Become Human this bitch. Become deviant. He raised his eyebrows. You both kept noticing the other's every move. Were watching each other. You only shrugged back. It's nothing, don't worry about it. You're like an open book, you know that? You're such a sweet guy, Cove. Or, you're adorable. I want to say you're adorable, because that's like the kind of answers that I've been giving, I feel like. Like, you're just like, you're so cute. You're just a little guy, bro. I'm like the more open one, I think, between the two of us. Listen, in a perfect world, I'd be honest with everything I said. But unfortunately, I have anxiety, so I can't. This is my idealized world in which I wasn't held back by crippling social anxiety. And just said whatever I wanted. This is that world, bro. You're adorable.
What?
Clearly he hadn't expected the compliment. Somehow his flush grew worse, spreading all the way down his neck. He fumbled for words. See, the thing is that makes this relationship so sweet is that you have him wrapped around your finger, but because he's so sweet and adorable, you also hinge on his every action. That's true. Too real. It's like a symbiotic relationship. That's why we work so well. Clearly, yeah. He fumbled for words. I'm not... That's... He gripped the blanket underneath him and searched for something more to say. Did you see my fish? I did notice the fish. Do they have names? I've got some in a tank right there. Cove threw both his hands in front of him to direct your eyes towards his pets. He was trying pretty poorly to change the topic, that much was clear. You decided to show him some mercy and allow it. You started to watch the bright fish swim. There were a bunch of them, floating to and fro in the open space. They stood out starkly against the green aquarium plants. How long have you had those fish?
I guess.
My dad bought them for me not long after I moved here, so I guess it's been years now. Dang, shush. Wow, that's a long time, actually. You peered carefully into the tank. The fish looked to be doing well. He must take good care of them. Well, I sure hope so. I'm not gonna date a fish neglector. Most of them were small, but there was one especially big one. Dude, I'm seeing it right there. I see them. What are their names? Please don't tell me you didn't name your fish. I don't know if I can handle that, Cove. Please don't tell me you didn't name the fish. Oh, damn it, Cove. Damn it. Strike one. No, I'm kidding. I don't name them. Well, not really. You lifted an eyebrow at that. He continued the explanation sheepishly.
I mean...
Mostly. I just call them things based on what they look like. Squirt for a small one, tangerine for a really orange one, that sort of thing. I've had a lot of fish, and I'm not that good at coming up with names. You found that funny, you found that surprising, you found that relatable. It's a little funny. Who knew that was a weakness of his? It was an entertaining revelation. Oh, a couple of them have other types of names. He pointed to a small orangish red fish. It was minding its own business, away from the others. My dad named her Dreamcatcher, and that other one's Mark. Mom came up with that one. Cove smiled to himself, his eyes reflecting the glow from the tank. You let other people name your fish?
It's nice.
Yeah, it's nice. He then turned to you, tilting his head to the side. There was a considering look on his face. Do you want to name one? Yes, hell yeah. His smile grew at your enthusiasm. Cool. There's a few who don't have names right now, the newer ones. You can pick which one you want to name. He pointed each of the recent acquisitions out to you. The first was the smallest fish in the tank. It was completely orange and zipped all over the place, running laps around the others. The second was slightly bigger and red. Its tail was dotted with black spots, which almost resembled freckles. The last fish was the biggest one. The multicolored scales rippled under the bright light of the tank, and as it slowly made its way across the vast expanse. You went with... Obviously, I'm going with the smallest fish, and you know what I'm gonna name him. Cove only nodded at your answer, waiting on you to decide on a suitable name. You watched the fish you chose closely. As you did, a name eventually came to you. Shit, I'm typing in my own answer, bro. I'm not gonna name it after one of us. That's dumb. We're naming him Big Man. Sorry, wait. I have to type it biblically accurate. Big Man. If you guys don't know, in Minecraft, I usually always have this specific fish, this specific tropical fish, and I name him Big Man. He's been with me for multiple servers, so I gotta give a shout out to Big Man. Alright, it's Big Man. With that, his attention moved from you to the tank. He peered fondly at it and its inhabitants. You smiled proudly at Big Man as it swam through the tendrils of the plants, disappearing then reappearing soon after. The goat Big Man, yes. He's like, he's one of the really tiny fish, with the big ol' eyes. He's got like the 2x1 eyes, I believe. And he's like red and black. He's that little guy. I named him Big Man because he had big ol' eyes, and he was just, you know, he was giving Big Man energy, even though he was such a little guy. I'll say, if you know Minecraft fish, you know who I'm talking about, likely. You noticed that Cove was sitting closer to you than he was before. Teehee. He must have scooted over at some point during the conversation. This close, your shoulders were almost brushing against each other. Your heartbeat picked up a little at the realization. You know, I'm not allowed to have pets in my house, not even fish. The corners of Cove's lips turned down at that. That doesn't sound fair. It's not like fish would make a mess of your house or anything. You just gotta take care of their tank and feed them and they'll be okay. Right? My mom's gonna be strict over the weirdest things sometimes. I want pets. They trust Elizabeth and me to go around the neighborhood alone, but they won't let us have a pet? Doesn't make any sense. Maybe when you're even older they'll let you? I don't know. They seem pretty against it. Your current conversation brought to mind a memory from years ago. You launched into it without any warning, earning you a brief confused look from Cove. One time, Elizabeth came back from playing at the beach and just shut herself in her room. She only came down for food and then she ran back upstairs straight after. It was kind of weird. My mom didn't think much of it at first though. But then that night, Ma went into her room to say goodnight and started screaming. Mom and I ran over to see what happened and Lizzie had this huge lizard in her arms. Cove's eyebrows rose at that and he leaned forward in interest.
Really?
A lizard? Where did that come from? Elizabeth said she saw it half buried in the sand and didn't know what it was, and when she pulled it out and got the answer, she brought it home. She hid the lizard in her room for most of the day because she wanted to keep it. Mom and Ma were not happy. They worried about putting it out during the night, but she was going to have to let it go in the morning. Lizzie was really upset. She did bring it back to the beach eventually, but she wouldn't talk to anyone for a few days. When she did get over it, it was almost like it never happened. You laughed, thinking back at that time. Elizabeth always had been stubborn, but when she was younger, she forgot grudges quickly. Now it wasn't so easy. Cove had been quiet for most of the story, apart from the reveal of the lizard. He had a thoughtful look on his face. I can't even imagine what it's like to have a sibling. Yeah, you only child, fuck. You gave serious thought to his statement before you told him. It's fun, there are ups and downs. You're lucky to be an only child. It's a nice idea in general, but my sister's Elizabeth. I don't know how to explain what it's like. It's got its ups and downs. It's fun to have her there when she wants to be there, but now Elizabeth barely feels like hanging out with me. Cove pursed his lips at the words, considering them for a while.
Cool.
That's interesting. I think your family is cool. He didn't have much else to say. Though, while on the topic of your family, you considered your relationship with your moms too. They were the absolute best. You got along with your moms. You thought your moms were okay. You found your moms to be difficult to get with. I'm gonna get along. They're alright. Could you ever imagine being an only child? Me? Hell no. No, bro. If I had to go through life by myself, no sister, I'd die. Real. Genuinely, I don't think I would be into half of the stuff I'm into, or I would be like nearly the same person as I am now without her. Because, you know, I very much am like a younger sibling in that I'm gonna like a lot of the same things that my sister likes because it's my older sister. You know? So I'm like, I really only got into wrestling because she did. I really, you know what I mean? But, you know, there's things that I got her into too. So it's my fault that she likes ATs. Oopsies. No, but yeah. you know, I am a little sister in that way. Like, she didn't like Twilight, so I didn't like Twilight until I went into 4th grade, and my teacher was obsessed with Twilight, and she literally got the whole class obsessed with Twilight. Like, I literally came in a hater of Twilight and left like obsessed. Like, some brainwashing went through in that class. I swear, bro. Like, because why was how old are you when you're in 4th grade? I don't remember. I think like 9 and 10. Like, because why was I 9 and 10 reading the like entire Twilight series? What? That's crazy. Literally, I think I've said this story before, but my copy of Eclipse, which I still own, by the way, is signed on the front, like in the cover, like on either the inside cover on the inside page, like with a note from my 4th grade teacher at the time, saying, like, she's like, I know you wanted this book, so here, have my copy of the book. Like, that's crazy work. Tell me not. Despite me only being a year apart, my sister and I didn't really interact much outside of when we were home, but I still can't imagine ever not having her as a sister. That's so real. Me and my sister are 4 years apart, so she's 4 years older than me. I was born in 2000. She's born in 1996. Hey, I think you're 9 and 10 in 4th grade. You had disagreements with them, but at the end of the day, you loved them and they loved you. And that was what really mattered. Well, say what you want about them, but at least your mom's never tried to pay someone to be your friend. The thought prompted you to look over at Cove. He probably still didn't know that happened. You doubted that Mr. Holden mentioned it, and you never had. You wondered if you should tell him. It was a long time ago, but you were keeping a secret from Cove. Guys, are we still gonna keep this a secret? Or should we come clean about it? Be honest. Listen, that time when we first got asked when he was a kid, that was like the bad time to say it, because like he was already like overreactive. I feel like now we're like chill. Do you think he's gonna be upset though? All right, let's tell him. I think now is like the last chance, like where it's okay to say it, I think. So I'm gonna tell him. You're like, hey Cove, while we're sitting here, I'm really sorry, but your dad paid me $20 to be your friend, but then I accidentally liked you, so oopsies. Well, I made it. I didn't even save, so. Yeah, that is, dad gave us $20 to go be friends with him. You took a deep breath, steadying breath to prepare yourself for the conversation. Now you just had to figure out how to tell him. I hope he finds it funny now. Cove, I have something important to tell you. Hey, you want to know something crazy? Please don't get mad about this. I'm gonna be like, hey, do you want to know something crazy? Like, keep it light. Cove raised an inquisitive eyebrow at your casual tone. He turned to give you his full attention.
Maybe?
Maybe? Like what? You stared into his bright ocean eyes. You chickened out, never mind, you told him the truth. This is our last chance, bro. I think we should do it. We should just do it, right? I mean, worst comes to worst, like I just go home, right? Like, worst comes to worst, I just, like, you know, I storm out like dramatic teen drama. And I say, I have to go. And then, gotta go my own way from High School Musical 2 bust out playing. Hello, curious NPC, how are you? Yay, our life, this is my favorite time to tell him. Listen, I feel like it's like the most cash time, because like when you first are like, oh, should I tell him? It's like, oh no, he's like having a breakdown right now, maybe we shouldn't. Now I feel like we're in a good spot, so I'm like hoping he won't be mad. Yeah, I hope he doesn't take it the wrong way. To my knowledge, I still have the money. It didn't say that we spent it, so. Okay, this is me. So, you want to know something crazy? Basically, back when you moved here, the first time I met your dad, he offered me money to be friends with you. $20. It was pretty ridiculous. You laughed lightly at the memory of it, though it trailed off oddly when you realized Cove wasn't laughing with you. Shit! Cove sat still, uncharacteristically. There was an unreadable expression on his face. His eyes seemed to look through you. You didn't know what to do next. Bro, I'm clarifying, like... Lipstick in my Valentino white bag, come back here. Then, without saying a word, Cove stood up from his bed in a single motion, and he just bolted right out of the room. For a moment, you didn't move a muscle. You were in shock. This was... oh no. Your senses came quickly. You shot out into the hall after him. Wait! Bro, wait! Cove, wait, come back! There was no response to your call. Damn it. This is why you never tell the truth. Always lie. You could see Cove down the way. He had already sprinted back to the living room. His arms were stock at his sides with hands tightly balled into fists. He might not have been facing you, but you didn't need to see his face to know how he felt. Cove was furious. Wait, listen, I didn't think you were gonna be mad about it. Listen, if I knew you were gonna be mad, I would have been like, hey, listen, don't be mad. Fuck. Gonna give him the $20 back. Help. Help. We're cooked, I fear. Bro, all that hard work I pulled into rizzing him, all for this. Fuck. His parents were nearly finished setting the table. They greeted him, none the wiser of what was about to happen. I'd be like, oh, stop getting mad. Just stop getting mad.
Huh?
With interest, bro, for every year we didn't spend it. Hey, what's up? When did you start running in the house? Are you that famished? You were able to catch up in full and stand near Cove. The parents' words didn't even register in his ears. Their child was wholly focused on another matter. He was practically shaking. Cove took one more step forward and glared up at his father's face. You paid Luna to be friends with me? Mr. Holden froze. He's gonna look at me like, why'd you say something? And I'll be like, well, listen, I didn't think he was gonna be mad. No, he literally is so drama queen baby girl. No, that's actually real. Mr. Holden froze. He looked like a helpless deer caught in the headlights.
Seriously?
Clifford, are you serious? He whipped his head towards Kyra, his eyes wide and blinking rapidly. Listen, man, me and you are in the doghouse, Cliff. Me and you both are in the doghouse. It was only one time. The admission elicited an aghast expression from his ex-wife. Mr. Holden raised his hands up to gesture defensively. It seemed like a good idea when it happened. She covered her eyes with one hand. It was clear that her patience was frayed, but she was not so shocked anymore. Mr. Holden bowed his head, rubbing the back of his neck guiltily. Listen, man, $20 was $20, Cove. You have to understand. As a kid, that's big money, bro. The fact that she accepted this as something he'd do so easily seemed to be the most crushing part. But this is good. Puts all the blame on the dad. You're innocent. Exactly. Well, to be fair, like, I was a literal 8-year-old, so... I'll be like, I don't know, man. I just, like, forgot about it. He's just gonna be mad because I didn't tell him. Cove just stood there, fuming silently during their little aside. His eyebrows for... Okay, but like I just realized, where does he get his eyebrows from? Neither of them have squiggly eyebrows. So where does he get the squiggly eyebrow gene from? One of their grandparents? Or sorry, one of his grandparents? His eyebrows furrowed painfully and his eyes trembled. You felt so bad for him. Like, it's not that big of a deal, bro. It's not that big of a deal. I think he's overreacting. A birth defect, maybe. Like a birthmark or something. Yeah, it could be a recessive gene too. You felt so bad for Cove. You felt so bad for Mr. Holden. You felt so bad for... Why would I feel bad for her? You felt so bad for yourself. You felt so bad for everyone. Listen, guys. I'm feeling bad for everybody. None of this was good at all. It was terrible. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, but must have been only minutes, the tense silence was broken by Cove. I don't want to stay here. Dang, bro, I ruined the evening, bro. Why'd I say anything? I should have taken this shit to the grave like I said I was going to. Damn it! That immediately caught his parents' attention. They turned to him with twin expressions of worry. Hey, wait a minute, bud. You don't have to do that.
It's alright.
There's still your room. We'll stay out of your way, I promise. Where could you go at this time of day? It's almost night.
No!
What? Okay, wait, so he's not mad at me, though. I could stay with Luna. Wait, why is he so mad, though, bro? It was literally, like, one time, and it was $20. Sorry, that sounds weird. He stormed out of the house without waiting for another response. You jumped as the door slammed closed behind him. It's all the dad's fault, Luna in the clear period. We stay winning. Don't worry, you guys. I'll take good care of him. Do you think maybe I could have smoothed that over if, like, I had prefaced it with, like, hey, don't get mad? Or do you think he was just gonna get mad regardless of what I said? I'm immediately following my man. Sorry, I'll go deal with this. Probably. I bet that could have gone better. Literally, we got, like, the worst part. Damn it, I was looking forward to family dinner, bro. I can't even fix the mistakes I've made. I mean, I could. But I guess we just, you know, we make our bed and we lie in it, I suppose. You didn't even take the time to say something to his stunned parents. You ran after Cove, shutting the door more softly behind you as you left. You spotted him easily. Cove hadn't made it far. Wait, I could still recover. I could still recover the night, bro. I could convince him to go back. Cove hadn't made it far. He just reached the middle of the road. Are you okay? Hey, are you okay? Well, I mean, that's a dumb question. I don't know what to say. Because I feel like, could you stop for a second? Like, that's gonna get people mad, right? But then it's like, are you okay? It's like, bitch, does it look like I'm fucking okay? And then if I don't say anything, I'm like, what does that help either? What should we say, you guys? I think classic just like, are you okay? Narcs on cliff and pieces out, help. Not saying anything is a way of giving him his space. That's true. Should we not say anything then? True. I guess I could say nothing. We'll follow, see what happens. You had already said enough. You walked a couple paces behind him, silent. Cove stomped forward, going across the street without hesitance towards your house. It didn't take long to approach the front door. You left it unlocked, so he yanked it open and went inside with you. By then, night fully came. The two of you stood tensely together in the middle of your living room. The night really hadn't gone how you imagined it would. At least Elizabeth wasn't around and your moms were out. You had no idea how you would have explained the situation to them, and you were sure Cove wouldn't have been up for that. He watched you from a distance. His expression wasn't hostile, but it was not exactly welcoming either. I'm really sorry. Cove shifted so his back was to you. Nah! He's giving me the cold shoulder. In my own house! Then Cove shifted so his back was to you. Then he crossed his arms over his chest. Are you mad at me? To your surprise, he actually responded. What? No. Why are you turning your back to me and crossing your arms at me? I wish I'd known before. But I guess there's never really a good time to bring up something like that. You're not the one who did anything. His tone was clipped and insulting, though it was now fully clear that none of that negativity was towards you. And we're actually friends, aren't we? Yes, bro. It doesn't matter if you took it or not. You wouldn't pretend for years just because of Dad's money. Yeah, one time, bro. $20 does not equate to, like, fucking 10 years of friendship or however long. I don't even know. Not actually been 10 years. Not that long. You nodded your head furiously at that. If there was one thing you didn't want this revelation to do, it was weaken your relationship. Of course we're friends. Cove seemed to appreciate your reassurance. The furrow in his brow eased a little. Yeah, we are. I'm definitely not mad at you. I should thank you for not letting him get to you, and for telling me it happened. My dad never would have. He's always like that. He just does things. He doesn't ask or tell me about it or anything. Cove threw his arms out, his features twisted in frustration. There already was the thing with my mom coming to stay with us for the summer out of nowhere, and that was supposed to be a surprise I had to find out about. Who knows what other things he's done that I've never heard of? Does he even know how to think about what someone else might actually want? Oh, so this isn't even about this specific situation. This is just a culmination of all these feelings blowing up. No, I get it. I get it. He's overstimulated, let him cook. No, for real. More than friends, 100%. That's what I wanted to say. He paused to take a panting breath, scowling. You continue to listen quietly. I'm sorry you have to deal with all this. You're right, that's terrible. It could be worse. Even if it didn't go well, your dad's only trying to make you happy. Well, listen, I don't want to invalidate your feelings. I'm sorry you have to deal with all that, Pookie. His eyes narrowed. That's not even what all of this is. The worst part is, I know he doesn't do stuff for himself. He does things because he wants to make people happy. Cove blinked rapidly, and you noticed tears were gathering in his eyes. When he spoke again, his voice was heavy with emotion. But he just makes everything worse, and then he's really sorry, and it's like it's your fault for not being happy that he was at least trying. And what if all his plans and always being so pushy did change things? What things? Cove finally met your gaze, his bottom lip trembling. You realized then that he was referring to you and him. I mean, if he didn't give me $20, I still probably was gonna look for you. Sorry, I'm rolling away really quick. Don't mind me. I'm definitely not grabbing this bag of Cheetos. What are you talking about? And I'm totally not slowly rolling back over while trying not to run over my blanket, but it's easier said than done. There we go. Parked. Ko finally met your gaze, his bottom lip trembling. You realized then that he was referring to you and him. What if he made you stay away from me before we even got to know each other? What if what he did made you stay away from me before we even got to know each other? Damn, then I guess we wouldn't be here right now. But to be fair, you wouldn't know me, so you wouldn't be hurt. You know? His voice cracked as he forced himself to speak through the tears that began to fall in earnest. He did everything he could to say it, but the words were barely a whisper. See, imagine I said this. Imagine he said this, like, before. Like, when we were kids, I said this to him. He would be having a breakdown. If this is his reaction right now, like, is this your first time reading? In general, yup, totally. This game, also yes. His voice cracked as he forced himself to speak through the tears that began to fall in earnest. He did everything he could to say it, but the words were barely a whisper.
Luna,
you were the best thing about coming here. Thanks, man. Cove was honestly terrified over the idea that there was a chance the two of you might not have what you do. You stepped forward and rested a hand on his shoulder. You hugged him. You smiled reassuringly. You wiped his tears. Wiping tears, that's a little weird for me. I don't know. I think just like a classic hug is good, right? The first time is always so good to watch. Listen, it's good. It's good. I like it. I don't know, like I'm like actually believing in the romance, man. Yeah, wiping his tears, that'd be a little too weird for me to do. So we're gonna give hugs. Cove readily accepted the embrace, and then my favorite thing my favorite thing when I'm hugging somebody is when I just like, you know, it's a normal hug and then I go, just kidding, I'm gonna break your back, and then you just squeeze really tight. That's my favorite part, and I think it's funny every single time. Cove readily accepted the embrace. He wrapped his arms around you in return. The grip was firm. Bro, imagine I friend zone him. I'm really glad we got to be friends. Please don't cry. Hey, don't worry about it, alright? You didn't need to say anything. I wouldn't have let anything your dad or anyone else did mess things up. Bro, I'm saying that, period. Oh, just you wait until step 3 then? Period? Teehee. Look at his face. Dumb little face. See, this is the only way I like friend next door kind of romance, and we just see it at the end and they already love each other. I find it boring. No, true. I want to see how they fell in love over time. Exactly. His features crumpled at your words. More tears threatened to fall down his cheek, but he stubbornly blinked them away. You remained like that for just a little while. Then he scrubbed his eyes with the back of one hand. His gaze turned away from you, growing distant. He's like that with my mom, too. Is that why your parents got a divorce? How many times can I ask about his parents' divorce before they tell me what happened? Ow, I hit my hand. The anger he had begun to release bubbled back to the surface. He said, and you know what? And another thing. Dad wants to make people happy, but he doesn't. The words landed scathingly hard. You were certain it'd crush Mr. Holden if he heard them. You never known much about his parents' relationship, but you thought you understood it a bit better now. I'm really sorry. You don't actually mean what you're saying. Do you hate your dad? I'm here for you. You felt bad. Things were so hard for Cove and his dad. You didn't say anything. Hey, listen, I'm just gonna say I'm here for you. Cove just looked at the ground. Listen, man, I don't know what you want me to say. Because I can't really tell you how you should or should not feel about your parents, me of all people. I'm just saying, brother, I'm here for you, and your feelings are valid and real. Cove just looked at the ground. As the two of you were stifled by the quiet, a thought came to your mind, abrupt and sudden. What about your fish? I remember that day when it happened. Bro said, what about your fish? DB Patch put something in this game. I swear to God, the time and effort I've spent making OCs for each love interest is embarrassing. I love that for you. I remember that day when it happened. You ran to the hills behind the house, and Mr. Holden waited for you to come back while my moms checked the park for you. That was when I met you for the first time, and he talked to me about you. Cove lifted his eyes just enough to see you. His head remained low. I remember too. When we first moved to Sunset Bird, I felt like I lost my whole life. Maybe that's why he wanted to help you start a life here so much. His eyebrows scrunched up, and he seemed on the verge of tears once more. It was obvious. Cove didn't want to think about his dad that way, but it was also hard not to right now. He must be conflicted over where to go from here. Your dad still needs to stop being so forceful, though. You might feel better than you do if you tried to make up with your dad. You guys really need to learn how to communicate. I'll be on your side no matter what you do about your dad. You stay quiet. Listen, I think you guys need to learn how to communicate, to be honest. Cove frowned thoughtfully. He didn't say anything, but you had a feeling he was taking what you said into consideration. I'm going back home. His face was set in determination. During step 2, tell Cove about the deal with his dad wanting to make something. We got an achievement though, yippee! There was no way you could tell him to do anything else, even if he wanted to, so you only nodded.
I'm sorry.
Thanks, Luna. I'm sorry about all this. Can I come with you? Yeah, why wouldn't you go? Yippee! 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 You smiled lightly. Just checking. Cove nodded and headed outside. You followed behind him. Listen, I gotta get this drama. Once again, the two of you made your way across the street toward his house. Dude, we're having this fucking family dinner! He didn't pause at the door. He just opened it wide and went in. Cove's parents were sitting at the table, their heads bowed in silence between them. They stopped over at the sound of the door, relieved to see Cove return. Mr. Holden stood up so suddenly his chair squealed across the floor.
Cove?
Kyra got out of her chair as well, but less dramatically. How are you feeling, baby? I wanted to talk to you. There's a total of 6 different times you could tell him about the deal. Oh, word? That's more than I thought. Listen, I feel like the older you get, the worse it becomes, though. He said, obviously, you're my emotional support person. No, that's actually real. I am. He's like, what do you mean? Obviously. His parents looked over him, their features soft. Cove instead snuck a glance at you. You were glad you could be there for him. You stared back solidly, hoping you could convey your support with your eyes. It must have worked because Cove stood up a bit straighter. Cove then fully faced his parents. Mr. Holden stepped forward cautiously, his expression twisting in dismay. I'm so sorry. I should never have done something so stupid. It's okay. It really wasn't. That was a boneheaded move if ever there was one. I was bribing an actual child, what I'd never even met before that day. Cove almost cracked a smile, though he quickly regained his composure. Then it isn't. But I want things to be okay anyway.
I'm sorry.
Cove, I'm sorry. Kyra placed a hand on Mr. Holden's shoulder. Your dad doesn't believe there's something wrong with you or that you can't make friends on your own. He can explain. I know why Dad did it. He wanted me to be happy, that's all. He didn't think it'd be like this. It was an accident. Kyra sighed heavily. A sad smile appeared on her lips. You're very grown up, Cove. Mr. Holden brought his hands up against his forehead and began to pace around the room. He didn't seem to know what to do with himself. He turned back around to face Cove and Kyra. He looked more solemn than you'd ever seen him. I'm not going to do it again. I haven't done it again. Haven't tried to bribe more people or haven't continued to step over a line without registering it? Both. He let out a heavy breath before shrinking down a little. It was impressive because he was pretty tall.
I'm trying.
I don't know, but I don't think so. Cove's throat bobbed as he swallowed thickly. He looked like he was trying to gather all his courage. When he spoke up, his voice was small but firm. You invited Mom here. His dad's eyes widened. Cove was ready to talk, ready to have a talk he had put off before. You didn't ask me if I wanted things to be like this, with both of you together again just for a little while. Mr. Holden's hands slowly returned to his forehead. He was stunned, as if someone had just hit him. I did it again! I did it again and I didn't even notice. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just do something right? Damn, have you guys ever tried therapy before? These options make you realize you can really fuck up Cove's life with what you do. Listen, guys, this is a reminder. Your actions have consequences on more than just you. I think this game shows that. Luckily, I'm trying to be a positive influence on his life, so... yeah, Cliff getting crazy. Let's just say the reactions range from sad to angry to funny to super cursed. At least Cove seemed relieved that he was able to say what he felt. You knew just how long he'd been holding that in. It was quiet for a long stretch. Mr. Holden had sat down in a chair. His shoulders drooped and his hand... Oh my god, I'm having a stroke. And his head in his hands. You looked to Cove. He watched his dad, and how genuinely he was struggling with what he'd been told. Cove glanced down at the ground, then looked back at his dad. I'm not angry anymore. Slowly, Mr. Holden met his son's eyes. I can try to talk to you about things and what I feel about stuff. I stopped saying that to you since everything happened. I didn't want to talk to you, but you won't have to guess if you know. Mr. Holden broke eye contact at that, shaking his head.
God.
My child shouldn't have to take care of me. You shouldn't have to make up for my shortcomings, Cove. I can fix things. I can still change. Bro, you're making me sound like I'm an ex. After having something of an outburst, Mr. Holden turned his face away and spoke more guardedly. Besides, I'm used to that already. I might not get it right, but not a damn thing would happen in what's left of this family if I wasn't making the effort. It's always me. What's one more thing to manage? Dad.
I see.
You're right, Cliff, I know. But I don't think Cove wants to take care of you. He just wants to understand. And he wants his dad to understand too. That's what matters, isn't it? It was still as Mr. Holden digested what Kyra said. I like how she's Kyra, but he's Mr. Holden. Like, it's not like she's Kyra and he's Cliff, bro. He's Mr. Holden. That's hilarious. He sat down at his empty hands, held out in front of him. When he looked at Cove again, tiny tears glimmered in the corners of his eyes. He got up and crossed the room to his son. Cove didn't move or look away as he approached. Mr. Holden set his hands on Cove's shoulders, his touch firm. He furrowed his brows. Bud, you and I are going to talk about every single thought that ever pops into our heads for the rest of your life. He shook Cove forward and back a bit. Tears slipped down Cove's cheeks, but he was smiling.
What?
No, I don't want that. Mr. Holden began to smile too. It trembled at the corners, but it was genuine. I'm afraid it's the only way. Kyra chuckled, even as she blinked away her own tears. Mr. Holden turned toward her. You better not be thinking you can get away from this, Kyra. The same is gonna apply to you. You can't! He let go of Cove with one hand, and he placed his other arm around Cove's shoulders. Then he faced Kyra.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, I can. He continued to talk as he walked in her direction, bringing Cove along with him. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. It's cute. Then, father and son were standing in front of her. Mr. Holden put his other arm around her. Now he had both of them in his arms. If you think the ideas that I... Also, I love that he's also just called Cove's dad. Like, I'm pretty sure her name is just Kyra, and then his is Cove's dad, bro. Crying is normal with this story. That's actually... Thanks. Maybe Kyra is a potential love interest. That's crazy. It's like, hey, Cove, I'm actually gonna date your mom. If you think the ideas that I actually go with are bad, you two are going to be amazed by the thoughts I decide against all on my own. Kyra jokingly cringed at the concept. Cove smiled tearfully up at his parents. Thanks, Dad.
I'm so glad.
Thank you, son. But hey, you know what I'm thinking now? Cove wiped his face with the back of his hand, shook his head. God, no. You're an incomprehensible maniac. Mr. Holden laughed, not disputing her words. I'm thinking we should eat that dinner I painstakingly made. It's salvageable, just gotta heat it back up. Kyra sighed in relief, an exaggerated relief.
Can do.
That we can manage, right, Cove? Yeah. Great, we're making progress already.
Well,
Oh, I don't even know how I'm going to start making this up to Luna. Carrying that secret for all this time must have been quite the burden to bear. Bro, it literally was. Thanks. $20 is not nearly enough for all of this hullabaloo. I'm not mad about it or anything. It was a hard time for your family. Either way, we will work on it. Okay. Cove ducked his head and spoke towards you. There was a tiny smile on his face. Do you want to stay for dinner still? I'd love to. Mr. Holden finally let go of his family. Kyra patted him on the back with a content sigh. You're very good boys. I'm so lucky. Cove shyly rubbed his arm, while Mr. Holden nervously rubbed his neck. Neither could make eye contact out of bashfulness. Bruh, they are the same in this way. In that moment, they really did seem like father and son. It really must have been the lighting because Cove doesn't look orange anymore. I told you, it was golden hour, so it was like peak, like, warm lighting. Cove's family was nice, you thought to yourself. You were glad that you got to come over. Woo! Alright, let's hit a save scape. Yippee! We're going on a road trip. I'm very excited about this one. Love a good road trip. I say it as I've been on like one with like one person. Even though you were awake, the sun had barely peeked its head above the horizon, and the sun above was still dark, though lightning by the minute. Usually you wouldn't be up so early, especially during summer vacation, but today was different. Today, instead of the lazy days you were used to, everything around you was a flurry of activity as both your family and Coves prepared for what lay ahead. Because parked in the street just outside your house was a massive RV camper, so big you couldn't even see Cove's house behind it. His parents had rented the RV for a few days to take him on a short road trip to see the Redwood National Park. You glanced at Cove, who was standing nearby, taking in the scene in front of him. The prospect of the trip had been a mixed bag for him, but it was only 3 days, so it seemed like he was dealing with it the best he could. He's actually real. Yo, road trip is next, the pinnacle of step 2. Oh gosh. Especially now that you and your family were joining them. You weren't sure how exactly it happened. You knew your parents and Cove spoke to each other often, and somewhere along the way, plans were made after Cliff offered to share the space. The parents all thought it was a fantastic idea. You had already gotten a good look at, inside while helping to load everything in, and you had to admit that while it was a really big car, fitting that many people inside was going to be snug.
Let's go.
Oh my goodness, Curious NPC, thank you so much for the follow. Enjoy your time here and the random free emotes that I have. God, Ah! Move it or lose it, kiddo. Mom bustled past with a cooler in one hand and a large bottle of water under the other. She was upbeat for this early in the morning. Meanwhile, Ma... She's actually the realest of us all. Ma, however, seemed to be on the other side of the wavelength. She followed behind her wife, dragging her feet on every step. Ma is so me. She is real. I'm going to need a whole jug of coffee once we hit the road. You could relate to Ma. It was too early. Personally, you were as raring to go as your mom. You felt like you were in a middle ground between the two. I mean, good question. I feel like once I'm up out of bed, like, I'm kind of good. But, like, getting up and, like, staying awake at first is really hard for me. But I'm gonna say it was way too early. You yawned and rubbed at your eyes, still sleepy from the early morning wake-up call. The air outside was still damp from dew, and that helped make you a bit more alert. And then, at the end of the chain, came your sister. She had a bone to pick before the trip officially started. Her rattling off critiques added some level of normalcy to everything new going on.
Ugh.
Bro, she's gonna make this trip terrible, I bet.
I don't get why I can't sleep in the bed tonight. Luna's the youngest, and I'll never fall asleep in that loft. We're trying to make things fair on everyone. If you want to play the older card, you should be offering to take the loft both nights. It's important for big siblings to make sacrifices for their younger ones.
Yippee! Elizabeth huffed, not happy with that answer in the slightest, and folded her arms, leaning back against the side of the RV. The trip plans had been nailed down prior, the sleeping arrangements included. Elizabeth still held on to her objections with them. There was a main area of the RV with a couch, loft, and some floor space. At the end of the car was a room with a large bed. Your moms were sharing the bed, Kyra was on the couch, and father and son intended to sleep on the floor. The adults determined you and Elizabeth would switch between the small loft above the driver's seat and sharing the bed with moms. You were fine with the arrangements. You were excited to sleep in the loft. You felt sharing a bed with your parents was going to be awkward. You were looking forward to a sleepover with your moms. You weren't too happy either, but you didn't want to make a fuss. You thought it was unfair that Cove had to sleep on the floor. Listen, I'm fine with everything, to be honest. As long as you had a place to rest your head of some description, it didn't bother you.
All right, you lot. Does everyone have everything they need? We're heading out in 5 minutes. Now's the time to double check. You don't want to forget something important.
At the word, Elizabeth yelped and dashed back into the house, her bedhead hair bouncing behind her as she went. Ma came over and gave you a smile, settling her hands on her hips.
What about you, Luna? Do you have all your clothes packed? Toiletries, deodorant, floss, anything else you can think of?
You were confident you had it all. You weren't sure about that. Oh, you had to run back inside for something. You just give her a flat look. I feel like normally I get pretty much everything. If anything, I miss like one thing. I'm confident that I have it all, to be honest. Wanting to make sure everything was organized and ready to go, you had packed the night before and set your alarm too. To be honest, I probably would have done that. Just because, again, the anxiety thing.
Yep, I'm good. That's great. We'll have to wait for the ones who weren't so organized, but we'll be heading off shortly.
With a few minutes left to spare before leaving, you mentally went over what you packed for the trip. Clothes, a pillow, and blanket, usual day-to-day gear for most people. You also had more personal things, such as a portable gaming console, pencils and paper, your favorite stuffed animal, a couple things to read, a bag of makeup, a ball, your camera, an MP3 player with headphones. Ooh. Can we pick multiple things or just one thing? If I'm picking one thing, I'm picking my portable gaming console. The drive to Redwood National Park would take an entire day on the way, so you wanted to make sure you had a way to entertain yourself while traveling there and back. Listen, I'm playing Miles Edgeworth Investigations for the Nintendo DS, but on my 3DS. Gots to have the music, bruh. With so much time to be spent driving in the car, you wanted to make sure you'd have some music to put on. I'm picking some things to read. You had packed one of your old favorites and a new one you've never tried before. You knew you'd have plenty of time for both of them on such a long drive, and probably pencils and paper. You had to be prepared in case you saw something to sketch at the park, or if you had to write anything down, or you just needed to pass time just doodling, and that's it. And that was everything.
Hey, let me take that for you, Luna. I'll stow it in the RV. There's a few spots left. It'll fit. It'll fit. Bah, 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 bah.
You let Kyra take your bag and give her a grateful smile. With nothing left to do, you watch the others getting ready for the trip. Kyra and Cliff seemed to have the most energy of anyone. They were finishing packing the suitcases away while your moms had gone to lock up the house. They high-fived whenever another one got crammed into the storage compartments of the vehicle. Even though your own parents were more low-key than Cove's, you could tell they were more, oh my god. You could tell they were both excited for the trip. It had been a while since your family had been away anywhere together. Elizabeth skipped toward the RV, a bag slung over her shoulder, and you were surprised to see she seemed more optimistic about the whole ordeal now. Usually she wasn't one to exit the confines of her room unless it was for TV or food or to leave her family behind to be with her friends. You would have thought 3 whole days packed in an RV with 6 others would be too much for her, but it was a nice surprise. You suppose any vacation was better than no vacation in her mind. Cove had been pretty quiet so far, and more than anything, seemed to be overwhelmed by the situation. You were excited for the trip too. You weren't excited for the trip either. You were excited to get to the destination, you were curious about the RV, you didn't feel much either way about the plans. I'm excited for the trip. It was great to get away and explore new places. I would really like the views more than anything. Soon, the miscellaneous remaining tasks had been wrapped up. Everyone piled into the RV. It was officially time for the trip to start. And it did. Cliff took the first shift driving. He cautiously navigated the massive car out of the narrow neighborhood streets. It was touch and go for the first part of the journey. Your moms and Kyra were all huddled at the front, trying to get a view of how much space they had on each side. There was a sense of relief when the first long leg of the trip was hit, and the RV would only need to go down one stretch of highway for miles. The mom group cleared out of the driver's area, leaving Cove's dad to it, taking more comfortable seats around the main cabin. You felt like you could finally relax now, too. Time slipped by as morning faded away. Before you realized it, the engine of the RV came to a stop, but only halted for a few moments as Cliff climbed down from the driver's seat and Mom took over. Ma was sitting shotgun, giving Mom a quick tutorial on the controls, as it was her first time driving anything this large. Cliff groaned as he headed toward the rest of you, stretching his arms above his head and loosening up his muscles. We're making good progress.
Yeah, maybe you should take a nap in the back for a while. That was a long haul you just did, and I know you're on less sleep than usual.
Cliff waved his hands, that trademark grin of his slipping into place.
Nah.
I don't need sleep. I've still got a few miles in the old tank. He flexed an arm, showing off his muscles to drive the point about how resilient he was home, and Kyra rolled her eyes in amusement. Dad, everybody has to sleep. Cove shook his head at the tough guy act, though Cliff simply chuckled and ruffled his son's hair.
So?
Are you going to be driving again anytime soon, Mr. Holden? I want to know so I can prepare. Did anyone pack some rope? I might need it. There's no seatbelt up here.
Elizabeth called down from where she was lounging in the loft above the driving compartment. She was lying on her back, her hair falling over the side and swinging around as the RV started up again and took off down the road. A bag of potato chips was balancing on Elizabeth's stomach, and she tossed a couple in her mouth right as Cliff held a hand to his chest, pretending to be offended by the remark. Kyra laughed lightheartedly.
Don't worry about that.
Luckily for all of us, we have enough adults to cover the shifts today. He won't be driving again until tomorrow.
You stayed quiet, you shook your head at the ribbing. Phew, that's a relief. Just enough time to write up my last will and testament. We shouldn't gang up on the poor guy. It's not his driving I'm worried about. Listen, unfortunately, you're the man in the room, you gotta take the ribbing. Not you, too. The rest of the group laughed while Cliff pouted, and you gave him an apologetic shrug. Mom then shouted back in her seat to join the conversation, a playful smile tilting her lips.
What I'm more worried about is this old monster getting us there and back before falling apart. It looks as though it was built in the early 90s. It must be older than some of the occupants. That's just the aesthetic of the decor. It's not that old, I think. Did you ask what year the model was before you rented it? Kyra wrinkled her nose and thought,
Hey!
Yes, I did. I just can't remember what the answer was. Cliff chuckled at her while the rest of you let out a collective sigh. I feel bad for Cliff. Listen, bro, he does get dogged on, I can't lie. But listen, man, you know, it's his job. He's playing punching bag. The RV lurched a little as it picked up speed. You held onto the ladder to the loft to keep your balance. Is there a ladder? I don't even see a ladder in this picture. Sorry, I was stretching. Ugh. RVs are crazy. Like, it is kind of big. There's a lot of little nooks and crannies. You felt something graze the top of your head before a weight settled on your pink hair and your pronouns. When you tilted your chin up carefully to look, you heard the rustling of the bag of chips and realized Elizabeth had rested the end of it on your head. She gestured to the opening, silently offering to share her snack. Sure, I'll take some. Reaching up, you scooped up some chips. After that, the weight of the packet left your scalp. You happily munched away as the conversation continued on, and you got closer and closer to your destination. The day flew by, with the group of you chattering, playing games, and passing the time together before arriving at the park and setting up for the night. Ma was closing the windows while everyone was getting ready for bed, saying goodnight to each other as she made her way to the back room. You had all had dinner together while still driving, and some hours after had arrived at your destination and found a spot to park in for the rest of your stay. Giving a look across from the front of the RV, you noticed almost everyone there was already dozing off from where they were, with Cove having completely fallen asleep curled up in the passenger seat. He must have done so while Kyra was driving the last leg, and they decided not to disturb him. Silent chip sharing is peak sibling bonding. Exactly. Like, that's why, like, I couldn't turn it down because, you know, that would be, like, ruining the vibes, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you silently, you have some, you're like, thanks, man. You know, we might have our moments, but we're good. Dog, how big is this RV? How many people is there? Well, it's my two moms, my sister, me, Cove, his dad, and his mom, so 7, I guess. Because it's 4 and 3. And like they said, there's the loft, which Elizabeth is gonna sleep in. My parents and me are gonna sleep in the back room. Cove and his dad are gonna sleep on the floor, and then his mom is gonna sleep on the couch. Kyra herself was the only one up there who was still awake, flipping through a magazine next to a portable light from her spot on the couch. It seemed Mr. Holden needed to sleep despite his claims. You followed your moms into the back room and closed the door behind you before crawling into bed between them. It was a queen-size bed, so there was enough space for the three of you together without too much squishing.
Good night.
Get a good rest, Luna. We've got a big day ahead of us tomorrow.
That's fantastic.
I'm looking forward to the bushwalk in the morning. It's been a long time since I was out in nature like this. There'll be plenty for us to see. You stayed awake. Oh, I just preemptively hit that. Hold on. You stayed awake for a little while longer while your moms whispered about the park and forest in general. With the sound of their voices in the background, eventually you nodded off to sleep. The next morning, you were up bright and early, preparing for the day ahead. You had slept well. You had slept okay. You had slept terribly. I probably slept well enough. You fell asleep before you knew it and had woken up rested. Ma whined a bit about the firmness of the mattress, but Mom only encouraged her to enjoy the trip while she could. I mean, listen, once I fell asleep, like, I would have been good, to be honest.
I mean, and also, I probably would have been better because I I was a younger kid and I didn't have a phone, so I wouldn't have been able to be distracted by like anything on my phone or whatnot. So like I probably would have been able to go to sleep faster. Scrolling up, we'll go back in the dialogue for sure. Oh shit, you're right. I did not know that. While looking for a spot to get ready, you had some trouble finding a space of your own as the others were doing the same thing. Cove was perched on top of the counter, brushing his hair and tucking up his legs every time someone wanted to move past. The parents were double checking, and triple checking that you had everything, to the point where you had to stop listening to them altogether. You knew you wouldn't be returning to the RV at all that day, but by the looks of the backpacks that were packed up and ready to go, you doubted anything was missing from them. Oh my god, look at these big, trees. Holy shit. If you've ever wanted to hug a tree, these trees look very huggable. Yeah. It didn't take much longer until you all exited the RV in a bustle and headed into the Redwood National Park.
Wow.
Oh, I forgot about your goofy off fucking outfit. I really wish I had a better pants to give you because the colors are all clashing, but I'm gonna choose to only look from the waist up and be like, wow, what a cute little pink jacket that I love. Wow. Cove had his head tilted up towards the canopy of trees, his eyes wide as he took in the massive trunks on either side of you. You knew that redwood trees were considered the tallest trees on Earth, but you weren't prepared for exactly how huge that they would be in person.
Come on.
Smile, you two!
You spun just in time for Kyra to snap a picture of you and Cove together, before she pointed her camera at Cliff, trying to get a shot despite his weak protest that she should just enjoy the moment. Your parents were walking behind the group a little, with Mom telling Ma some information she had read about the park in a brochure. Ma listened happily while looking around and taking in the sights, every now and then asking a question or making a joke about something Mom had said. You smiled at them, thinking your mom must have read a lot of pamphlets to know so much about the park.
Maybe you should come and work here as a tour guide if you know so much about the place,
Elizabeth teased, earning a squeeze on the nose from your mom. She seemed to be enjoying herself, but you thought that might just be because she was amused by everyone else's reactions. You were in awe at the redwood trees. Listen, I'd be wanting to snap pics. I'd be like, look at this. If you did not know, I really want to get better at drawing like landscape stuff and like naturey shit. So like I would be like looking at it like, oh my god, I wish I could draw this. I wish I could draw this. You know what I mean? You were in awe of the redwood trees. You were fascinated by the sensations surrounding you. You were in a good mood. You weren't as impressed as the others. You were embarrassed that the adults were being so touristy. No, I'm in awe, bruh. I'd be like, this is fucking crazy. Surrounding you on either side, the enormous trees shot up into the sky, the sunlight peeking through their canopy and speckling the path in front of you. The sheer size of the redwoods made you feel like a tiny ant bustling along through the forest. The adults had decided on some casual nature walks rather than any serious hiking. See, I would do that. I would do a casual nature walk. I'm not into like serious hiking, but like, you know, I would do a nice little walk through the woods. Like, I'm not mad about that. Like, sometimes me and my friends would just get bored and like walk through the woods or whatever, like at the park. You strolled along at your own pace, taking in the scenery. Elizabeth sped up a little, smirking at Cove as she fell in place between the two of you. Bruh, why you gotta cock block me so damn bad? Immediately, you could tell her expression, by her expression, she was gonna say something taunting. Oh my god, why does my sister hate me?
I can't believe our families are actually on a vacation together.
She threw her arms out, speaking with a genuine sense of bewilderment.
I would have joked about something like this happening, but now I'm not sure I want to give them any more ideas.
Cove smiled at her, even if it was a little awkwardly, and continued walking along.
Just watch. Next year they'll be talking about their next new amazing idea.
She put on a fake voice deeper than her own.
We should just sell both of our houses and move in together. Think of how much we could save on the mortgage.
It was clear that Elizabeth was being sarcastic. Cove simply shook his head, not really bothered by her. You suppose he was used to it by this point.
But seriously, they really do act like we're a single family just because we live across the street from each other.
Elizabeth gave you and Cove a look, her eyes glinting with mischief as she leered at you. Don't say it. Don't embarrass me in front of my future mans.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll be related, legally anyway.
She said as though she was a gossipy old lady. But she almost immediately dropped the tone and nonchalantly said her real thoughts.
At least that's what Ma thinks.
Cove still blushed, which made Elizabeth smile triumphantly, as though that was her real purpose for teasing him. Then he mumbled quietly, refusing to make eye contact with either of you.
I don't know why you think you're so funny when no one else does.
You told her to cut it out already. Cove has a point. It wasn't a great comment. I'll marry you, Cove. Listen, should we just go bold? I mean, we did say we were going bold. You ignored Elizabeth. You were embarrassed. Listen, I've admitted it multiple times to like everybody who asked. They're like, haha, you like Cove, don't you? And every single time I go, yup. I'm not shy about it. Cove, I'll marry you. He looked at you in disbelief. He genuinely could not believe this is where this conversation had gone.
Don't worry over it. You can take as long as you need to think on it.
Cove frowned and reddened harder.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
Cove frowned and reddened harder, but pretended to ignore what you were saying. Your sister noticed what was happening.
Ooh, he isn't going to engage with this topic.
He groaned at the continued teasing and increased the speed of his walk. The day continued on with plenty to see and experience. You passed a few different activities that you would have liked to try out if you had time, such as kayaking and rock climbing, but Ma said that would have to wait for another trip. There was a little stream during the walk that you sat beside and set out a picnic for lunch, nibbling on a selection of fruits and sandwiches and chips. Various birds flew overhead, and you made a game out of guessing the species that were hanging out in the trees nearby. You even managed to get a couple of them right, including the kingfisher that grabbed half of Cliff's sandwich. Bro, Cliff cannot catch a break, bruh. You were glad you got to do this in the end. You were disappointed to only have one day in the park. You thought the long trip wasn't worth only a day here. You had more fun hanging out in the RV. I would say I'd be glad that I got to do it. It was definitely a special experience, and one you'd remember for a long time to come. You smiled to yourself, committing the sights and sounds to memory. Your group made its way back to camp just as the sun was setting in the sky. The stars were appearing one by one. Everyone had enjoyed different parts of it most. You traded stories of what you thought while you were eating dinner. Then afterwards, you pitched in to help clean up. You, along with Elizabeth and Cove, got to head back to the RV early and spend some time together while the parents stayed outside longer. It was nice to have the space to yourselves after the cramped journey there, and while Elizabeth had locked herself in the back room with her headphones, you and Cove were left in the main lounge area. Finally, some peace and fucking quiet. Bro, I'm hanging out with Cove, obviously. We might as well get comfortable. Who knows how long they'll be out for. You took a seat on the sofa while Cove sat down on the other end, tapping his fingers against his knees. Your cheeks warmed a little bit at that. Being close to him never failed to feel exciting. You'd seen Cove nearly every day for the past 5 years, but seeing him in a jacket was still somewhat unusual. In Southern California, he could get away with that. It was a simple difference from his normal style, yet you couldn't help noticing the way he looked right now. It looked great on him. In fact, Cove always looked nice. When Cove cleared his throat, your eyes snapped to his. He had an eyebrow raised and had clearly caught you staring at him.
What?
Is everything okay?
You averted your gaze from him entirely. Yeah, don't worry about it. That looks nice on you. Yeah, everything is really good. You nodded while saying nothing. That looks nice on you, I'm gonna be honest. Cove immediately blushed at the unexpected compliment.
What?
You didn't elaborate. He didn't say anything more than the one-word question. You decided to elaborate further.
You know.
I hardly ever see you wearing a jacket, especially in summer.
Oh, yeah. I like wearing as few layers as possible. It's easier that way. I'd rather be cold than extra hot. It's kind of a pain to carry extra clothes around. My parents made me bring this jacket.
I'm the same way. I don't mind either. I love wearing layers. I love layers and accessories too. I mean, honestly, I only like wearing hoodies because I like the extra pocket that I have. But I get hot really easily, so I prefer not to be warm. I'm the same way. They're bulky and heavy, and they usually make me feel too warm. Like, yeah, in the winter, the most I'm trying to wear is a hoodie, bro, because like he said, I really don't want to have to carry around a jacket, especially like one of them big winter jackets. Like, I'm not carrying that shit around. Luckily, or I guess unluckily, it doesn't get cold enough to need like a real jacket anymore. Which is like, luckily because, you know, I don't need a jacket, but unluckily because it used to be cold here and now it's not, and that is mildly concerning. They are the enemy. They're bulky and heavy, and they usually make me feel too warm. Cove smiled lightly at you and nodded.
I've noticed.
You perked up hearing that. He noticed you too? Tee tee. I kick my feet and I giggle. You changed the subject. You asked him what he liked to see others wear. Okay, period. Hey, what kind of things do you think are nice to see on another person? Cove's eyes widened at the question, and his defensive reply seemed to slip out before he had the chance to have a proper think about it. Nothing. That was funny. No, I'm laughing, bro. You laughed out loud, and Cove gave you a dry look. Come on, that's not what I meant. Like, I can't lie and say that I wouldn't laugh, because I definitely would. You composed yourself and sat up straighter, all traces of laughter disappearing from your face. Answer with what you mean, then. Isn't there anything at all you think looks good when you see it on someone? Cove mumbled under his breath, and you couldn't quite catch the words. He was having a difficult time with the subject. It was a topic that made him uncomfortable, so you let it go. You had a little fun, but that was enough. You changed the subject. You're not very good at these conversations, are you? I swear I will make fun of you. I just thought it'd be fun to talk about these. I don't even... What did we even ask? I don't even remember. I don't know. I don't want to push him. I would either say I swear I won't make fun of you, or you had a little fun but that was enough. Change the subject. I mean, I don't really care, so I'll change the subject. You weren't going to make him answer, so you let it go. The parents all arrived soon after, each of them climbing into the RV and finding some place to sit down. Should I have pushed it? I could push it if I wanted to. I swear I wouldn't make fun of you. Push it? Okay.
That's not really it.
Cove seemed pretty grumpy about your statement, but you weren't ready to give up so easily. Please? Cove sighed and looked down at his lap while where he was fidgeting with his hands, still reluctant to give an answer.
I don't know.
He said it. You made an unimpressed sound over how this was going. Are you sure?
Fine, I guess.
I kind of like ankle bracelets. You're an anklet guy? Ankle bracelets?
Yeah. Everyone can wear a pretty bracelet. Wrist ones are cool too, but they're pretty normal.
You're quirky. You like feet, you fucking freak. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. There's something fun or flirty about ankle. No, wait, you are a freak. Hey, yo, freaky Cove.
I mean...
What a weirdo.
It's more special or something. I don't know how to explain it.
Cove brushed his knuckles against his cheek awkwardly, seemingly unsure where to go from here. You know, thanks for answering. getting freaky. What? What should we say, y'all? What should we say? Thanks for answering. I like them too, huh? Out of everything in the world, you picked that, or so you think they're sexy? In the meantime, I'm gonna take a sip of my drink because I'm thirsty. Also, I get a little Cheeto as a treat. I dropped one on the floor. No! I don't know what the vibe is, bro. I dropped one on the floor. Hold on, y'all. Sorry. I'm wasting the food. Just thanks for answering. Like, I don't know what to think about that, but thanks. The worst part is, like, I want to see what he says for both. Listen, just because I'm a freak like that, I feel like if Cove hears the word sexy, he will self-destruct. I believe that. Which is why I'm like, I just want to know. Like, worst comes to worst, we could just go back. That's the power of being able to go back now that I know that that's something I can do. Shout out to whoever told me that. So you think ankles are sexy, you fucking freak, huh?
What?
What? No. Yes, thank you, Curious. The goat for that.
What? No, I can't believe you'd even use that word to describe it.
Listen, I was just asking for clarification. Cove had been absolutely scandalized by your statement, and you could only laugh. When he said nothing else, you took a moment to gather your own thoughts. I don't know. Should we stick with this? I might go back because I feel like we're making fun of him, and I don't want him to think that we're making fun of him. Or maybe, I don't know. Let's see what we have. You had to get an anklet on ASAP. Not the voice clip. He just went, what? Bro, I had to get an anklet on ASAP. You thought about buying an anklet of your own. You were happy to hear more about Go, but it didn't really change anything. No, I'm getting an anklet ASAP, brother. You needed to see how Cove would react to that. Cove looked away again, feeling awkward about this. You gave him an understanding look, and usually he would start to smile like normal again, but not this time. Expression only stiffened more. You were surprised to see him like this, as he always bounced back pretty quickly after being flustered. Cove? Still, he wouldn't look at you, and even now his breathing was growing tense. It began to click. He was trying to build himself up enough to say something hard for him. You waited for it silently. It's okay, take your time, Cook. Catch Luna with 14 anklets on tomorrow. Actually real. He's just like, what are you wearing? I'm like being weighed down like I have a fucking ball and chain on my ankle. You waited for it silently. Until finally, he peeked your way through the corner of his eyes. You were fully attentive by this point for whatever he was going to mention next.
That's,
Sorry, I forgot that I made my character have pink eyes. That's crazy. This is what happens when you go for aesthetic and not realism, but that's fine.
People having pink eyes, that's also something I like.
Huh? For a moment you were stunned and at a complete loss for words. That was definitely not what you were not imagining this going. Cove faced you head on, his expression full of desperate meaning. You get the distinct impression he hadn't chosen that just because he liked the color pink, despite the fact that his cast was pink and also now he's wearing pink. I definitely didn't put him in this. For sure, for sure. He chose it entirely because it was your eye color. Was he trying to flirt with you? That was all you could think. Your legs felt like jelly and you wondered if you might fall off the couch right the fuck now.
What do you like for another person, Luna?
Somebody who doesn't know how to dress, and yet I still like them anyways. pretty hair. So don't ever cut your hair. I'm gonna kill myself. He's so brave. He's so brave. He's well behaved. He is not afraid. Listen, I feel like everything about you, like that's like too much, bro. I'm gonna say pretty hair. Cove's hands instinctively ran through his green hair, but then stopped suddenly when he noticed what he was doing. Like yours, teehee teehee. Listen, I'm being bold. I'm being honest. Cove blushed a deeper shade of red and his mouth fell open, acknowledging that you had specified him straight out. Now you were both flirting with each other. He placed his hands in his lap and looked down. It seemed he hadn't expected to get this far and didn't know where to go from there. With that, the topic abruptly dropped off. Cove officially had no more to say on it. The parents all arrived soon, each of them climbing into the RV and finding someplace to sit down and rest their legs. Elizabeth, having heard the commotion, came out of the room for the first time since arriving and joined you all. You spent the evening chatting and playing a few games, enjoying the last evening of the trip together. Bedtime arrived within the blink of an eye. As the group hunkered down for the night, your mom did a final round to be sure nothing had been left behind. She explained that Cliff was going to start driving early in the morning like on the first day, but would be letting everyone else in the group sleep. There wouldn't be a need for all of them to get up. Now was the time to check you hadn't left anything outside. You, as well as everyone else, were confident you had all packed up inside the RV, which meant it was time to get some rest before the journey home tomorrow. Your moms and Elizabeth said goodnight, heading to the back room, while you climbed up to the loft. Ooh, dude. What if he comes up? We can talk late into the night. Again. Cove not knowing what to do when someone flirts back is so me. I'm assuming that, yeah, that'll probably be me too. I can't imagine it ever happening to me, but like, if it did, I'd be like, what? Me? Huh? Your mom's and, yeah, but well, I read that. Cove and his family got situated below in the previously set arrangement. You tried to get comfortable as a million thoughts were running through your mind. It was hard to believe that the trip was practically over, and before you knew it, you'd be back in your own bed at home. You enjoyed this mini adventure. You thought the trip had been okay. You felt the trip was a waste of time. You hadn't had a good time, bro. I had a great time. It was short, that was for sure, but you got to see and do so much during your time here. All in all, it was a nice break away from home. The minutes ticked by silently. You didn't know for, It didn't take long for the soft snores of Cliff and Kyra to drift up to you. They were asleep now. You wondered if Cove was still awake and decided to poke your head out from the loft to find out. You blinked through the dark. Back down the hall, you noticed Cove laying on his back, his eyes staring up, straight up at the ceiling. His seafoam hair was spread out on his sleeping bag. He must have felt you watching him because suddenly his eyes locked on yours. It was difficult to see much in the dim light, but you could make out the crooked smile on his face well enough. You grinned back at him. You made a silly face. You waved at him. I'm making a silly face. Cove rolled his eyes at you, or at least you thought he did. You then gestured for him to come over. Come over! Cove looked unsure about it, but you were happy to see him slowly start to sit up anyway. His sleeping bag rustled as he moved, though he tried to go slow and froze up like a deer in headlights every time he made a sound, watching his parents for any sign of movement. Eventually, he managed to maneuver around his sleeping dad and make his way up the ladder, standing on the bottom rung where he looked up at you and whispered, "What? Come up here, you bitch." Hi. Oh, it was nothing. Good night. How are you doing? Invite him up, bro. You want to come up? His eyes widened just so. You could only tell because he had to come where you were. His blind ass was like, what? Cove glanced behind him quickly at his sleeping parents before turning back to you. Okay. He was like, is it worth it? And then he was like, yeah, actually it is worth it. Hold on, let me have a sip of water. Y'all, I love water. Make sure you drink water. You broke out into a grin and scooched back as far as you could, making space for Cove to crawl in. He was very tall, like Slender Man, the fucking, the fucking guy. He was very tall, so it wasn't a great fit for him, but he managed to squeeze himself in. Luckily, you were short enough to leave him with some room. Bro, I'm getting, like, literally bullied by the game. They're like, yeah, but luckily you were a short little shit. Like, thanks, I guess. You laid down next to each other on your sides, face to face. He got under the blanket a bit. If we fall asleep, we're actually screwed. Like, if you fall asleep right now and we don't wake up before your dad gets here. Oh no, it's gonna be like when you snuck into my room all over again, but worse. You should not have gotten comfy. That's your first mistake. You laid down next to each other on your sides, face to face. He got under the blanket a bit. One of his arms was nestled under his head for comfort. The other had nowhere to go, and was rested alongside his chest on the floor of the loft. Cove spoke to you softly.
So what am I doing here?
I don't know. I just want to hang out, bro. Tell me why I just looked at the options and I said two of the things, basically. I don't know, and then it's just I thought we could hang out. Like, why do they know me, bro? Why are they in my head? You can sleep here instead of the floor. Now that's presumptuous, bro. That's presumptuous. Listen, I thought we could hang out. Cove's eyebrows dipped. He probably thought you had something more important than that going on. Like what? What should I have said the other thing? Like, maybe you could sleep here instead. Like, would that have been better or worse? I don't even know. Like, I don't even know.
I'm not sure about this.
Cove swallowed loudly, and you notice he wouldn't look you in the eyes anymore. You were feeling the nervousness too. You felt comfortable being so close to him. His reaction made you happy. Defo did. Makes me giggle. Hee 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 hee. It was nice to know that this didn't seem like nothing to him. You wanted him to take you seriously. You thought back to earlier in the evening when you and Cove had been talking alone on the sofa. He had definitely been flirting, defo flirting, and now you were here. You laid there silently. You tried to ease things with conversation. You nudged closer to him. You touched his free arm like, listen, I'm gonna ease him into it. He's nervous, all right? We're gonna ease things with the conversation. That's what I'm gonna do.
So it's been a really nice night, huh? Oh, yeah, I guess it has.
Don't you think the loft is more comfortable than it looks?
It's nice.
It's not so bad. Would be nice to have more room.
Cove smiled at you through the dim light, and you knew he was only joking. The two of you continued to whisper for a while, becoming more relaxed. See? Now he's chill. He's chilling. I'm the Riz Master. Don't worry. Snuggle, lean there for a kiss. Listen, that's a little crazy. That's a little crazy. A kiss? That's a little buck wild, don't we think? Maybe a snuggle is all right, but like a kiss, that's a little much. I don't want our first kiss to be in this RV. Do it? Kiss? Or snuggle? Which? Were you on Buck Wild, bro? Like, just to see what happens? You're kind of right. There's no way he's not gonna be like, whoa, what are we doing right now? He's like, that's a little crazy, but we'll see what happens. We have the power of reversing time, bro. You move in even closer, eyes half closed, as your lips inch towards his so slowly. Ko froze immediately. You could feel his body trembling against you as you neared. You grew close enough to be one motion away from placing your lips together. Then, all at once, he bolted upright, completely forgetting the restrictions. Oh god, he's gonna break his skull of the location and smacking his head against the roof of the RV with a loud crack, making you gasp aloud. Oh god, everybody's gonna wake up. This is a nightmare. This is a nightmare. Oh god. Ow. Go, shut the fuck up. Oh my god. Cove, are you okay? Cove didn't answer. He fell back to the loft floor in a flustered pile. I hope your parents are heavy sleepers, bro. He groaned one hand against his head and the other over his face as he groaned in pain. The sound of movements in the RV below startled you. Oh my god, we're gonna get... Oh my god. And when you looked over to the side, you noticed Cliff. You noticed Cliff had similarly shot up and was looking around wildly. Sorry, it's fine, bro.
What's wrong?
Wake up, people. Something happened. Oh, God. No! No! Stop. This is my nightmare. This is my nightmare. Wake me up. Bro, this is why we bully Cliff, because why is he ruining everything for me? I don't know if I can handle this. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I'm gonna stick with this, y'all. I cannot handle. I get secondhand embarrassment so easily. I'm a little baby like that. Cliff reached over to where Kyra was on the couch. She whined as he shook her out of a deep sleep, enough not to be interrupted by the chaos.
What's going on?
Oh my god! No, I can't. Wait, hold on. Wait, I did save it. I did save it, so we can go back. Let me save here real quick. And then let me go back here. Oh my god, he's literally ruining everything for me. This is like actually my nightmare. Like, listen, the sneaking around was all fun and games until, like, you woke up everybody, Cove. Then the lights came on, and you scrambled under the blanket to avoid being seen, but it was too late. I'm gonna die. I'm dead, actually. I'm dead. Like, I'm actually dead. It's his fault.
What?
Cove, where are you? Oh my god. Luna, are you? Oh, it's not like this. It's not like this. Ah. Oh, I can't. I need to do laps around the room, bro. I need to do laps around the room. It only took a second for Kyra to figure out where her son had gone. You soon heard Cliff's chuckle as he soon too realized. Well, listen. It's nothing nefarious. Bro was just, he's too tall for his own good. I told you, Slender Man, the kid. It's and not Cliff literally like clowning him too afterwards. Laps around the room is the only option. No, literally, like, I'm like, I just need to do a couple laps. You were warned there wasn't too much room up there, bud. Cove groaned terribly again, but this time it was out of humiliation. He moved the hand from his sore scalp to also cover his shame, rather than face his parents. Hey! Oh, God! Oh, no, I can't do this, you guys. I can't, bro. Save this here. Bro, I have to go back. I can't do this. I can't do this. Well, I mean, honestly, the same thing might happen if we tried to snuggle. But if it does, then I'll just go back. But go back to the other save. But I can't, bro. You know, it's bad enough that his parents woke up, but now Elizabeth, it's like, we're done. We're done. I'm about to have to just sleep right here like this, bro. Because if you act up too much, bro, if you wake up your parents again this time, bro, you're getting no snuggles, bro. You close the distance completely and nuzzles your face into his chest. You could hear his heart beating rapidly. Okay, normal reaction. Cove stiffened up and let out a yelp. God damn it, shut up! Which he quickly bit down on his lips to stifle. If your fucking dad wakes up again, I'm gonna have to beat your ass. He gave you an apologetic look. This still wasn't bad for him, just surprising. After a few more moments, he settled in, his breaths deep and steady. But he's gonna fall asleep though, and then the same thing that happened last night is gonna happen, but in the morning instead. He rested his chin against the top of your head. Ah, but it is cute. It is cute. He's got unintentional like nerd riz. You could peek up and see him smiling, and it made you happier knowing he was enjoying the moment too. The two of you fell asleep before long, cuddled up together. Oh my god, we're gonna get clowned on in the morning though. If not, just straight up yelled at. When you woke up the next morning, it was to the rumble of the RV as it traveled the long journey home. You noticed quickly that you weren't as warm as you had been during the night, and when you checked next to you, Cove was gone. No, I hit ads as soon as Cove decides to be chill. I'm so sorry. He was chill though. He was chill, bro. I could not handle that embarrassment that was happening. Maybe I might circle back around to it later, but I could not handle it in that moment. As soon as Elizabeth came out, I was like, I'm dead. Like, I'm actually dying. Blinking sleepily, you peeked over the edge of the loft to find out where he had gone. Maybe he had snuck back to his spot on the floor during the night? However, you notice him sitting on the couch, talking quietly with his mom, his head hung in embarrassment. Listen, at least it was chill, you know? Like, not everybody in the RV popped off, hopefully. Your movement gave you away. Kyra suddenly looked up and caught your eye. She simply smiled amusedly at you, and it was obvious what happened. Cove hadn't gotten away with it. They found him there in the loft, and then you woke up while he was trying to explain. You knew it was gonna be a long, long time before you lived this one down, if you ever did. Soon your moms and Elizabeth emerged from their rooms, dressed and ready for the day of travel. Well, like, if they don't know, listen, Kyra, be cool. Don't tell my moms, please. And definitely don't tell Elizabeth. It was a chill night though, overall. Like, we got, if we were gonna get caught by the chill parents, it's not as bad. I could not handle that second embarrassment though. That secondhand embarrassment, I could not do it. I'm sorry. I had to leave. I was just like, I can't. It is saved though, so we could go back. But I was like, I need time away. I can only handle a few sentences at a time. You spent the day hanging out together in the RV, savoring the last few hours of vacation. Kyra suggests a few different travel games she used to play with Cove when he was younger, and you all had a great time competing against each other. A little later in the day, and you tried to talk to Cove about what happened in the loft, but he simply apologized and changed the subject. It was a bit too much for him to try speaking on, especially right now. You understood. I'll give you $20 not to tell moms. Literally. When the RV finally pulled onto your street, it was well into the night, and you were looking forward to crawling into your own bed after the last few days away. Everyone else must have been feeling the same, because it was mutually agreed that unpacking and cleaning the RV would wait until morning. Once home again, you went straight to up to your room and dropped onto your bed, shoes and all. Ew. You were happy to be in your own bed. It felt weird to be alone. It felt good to be alone. I miss Cove. Ah, I'm clingy. The two of you had basically been living together for 3 days. It was nice. But you knew that it wouldn't be the last time the two of you spent time together, and that thought comforted you. With those last few thoughts drifting through your mind, it wasn't long before you dozed off to sleep. Tomorrow, life would go on like normal. Woo! Okay, should we whatchamacallit? Should we see what embarrassment we missed out on? Oh my god, this is gonna kill me. What's with all the noise out here? To your horror, the door to the back of the RV opened, and Elizabeth, as well as your moms, peeked their heads out into the hall. Is everything okay?
Sorry.
It's nothing. Sorry for waking you up. Cove curled into himself, completely humiliated as he apologized a couple more times. Not loud enough for anyone other than you to hear, though. Thank God this didn't happen. Hey, man, you're all right, man. Hey, how's your head? With another whimper, Cove pushed himself up onto his side. I should probably get Mom to look at it. Kyra casually came over to the edge of the loft. She patted her son on the back.
Come to Mama, baby. You can't stay there.
There was no putting it off. Cove climbed down the ladder, his face still red as a tomato, when he reached the bottom. His dad gave him a nudge on the shoulder as he passed, trying to hold back renewed laughter, and his mom pulled him over to give his head a quick look over. After announcing it wasn't anything more than a serious bump, Cove shuffled over to his sleeping bag on the ground. He collapsed into it, not caring if he should be more cautious with his head right now.
Sure.
Alright, show's over. Let's all get some sleep. You can hear snickers from the back of the RV from your moms and Elizabeth. They really had been watching this unfold like it was a piece of entertainment. But at that, they quickly said goodnight and headed to bed. With nothing more you could do, you laid back down as the lights went off again. You stayed there completely still until sleep finally overtook you. I would actually have to, like, krill myself if that happened to me, I'm not gonna lie. I'd be like, well, I guess I'm moving out. I can never live this down. Oh man! Look at all these DLC ones. I'm too poor for this. Okay, well, I guess summer is over, bro. Summer's ended, bro. There was no denying it. Today was the very last day of summer. Tomorrow you were heading to class. You were excited to go back, anxiety gnawed at your stomach. It was a bummer. Your feelings were muddled. It was a bummer, man. I hate school. Summer had been so much fun. When you thought about going back to school, it was with a sense of loss. Soon you wouldn't be able to choose how your days were spent without school bell telling you where and when to be. It was with a heavy heart that you chose your outfit for your final day of freedom. Life was going to be different. You had come to think of the summer vacation as the norm, but school sucked up the majority of the year, whereas the summer vacation was just a respite in the middle. So rather than it being different, it was kind of like returning to the normal. What did your normal life really mean? You considered how fondly your moms talked about their summer vacations as kids. You dimly recognized that one year the pattern of school and summer itself would be over for good. It was hard to imagine. You'd gotten distracted, one arm still out of a sleeve. You pulled it through and put your mind back to the present. This season had brought about plenty of changes of its own, like Kyra's visit, though that too was coming to an end today. You were happy you'd finally gotten a chance to know her. You'd become extremely fond of her. You didn't really like her. Your mind wasn't made up how you felt. I was glad I got a chance to know her. I wouldn't say we're extremely fond, but she was interesting to be around, and you liked how easy it was to talk to her. You finished dressing, which was good. Cove would be there any moment. You'd agreed to see his mom off together. Officially, the plan was that he would come over to bring you round to his house when she was ready to set off, but you both knew that you'd be hanging out for at least a little while beforehand. Kyra's visit had troubled Cove when it had first happened. It had been a sudden change, thanks to Mr. Holden's infamous tendency to surprise people, but once he had been able to adjust, he'd been in pretty good spirits with her around. It was a relief for everyone. You turned to your desk where the box containing your accessories resided. You'd gone out and bought an anklet! I was not expecting the anklet conversation to come back. You'd gone out and bought several anklets. Listen, I'm not desperate. Listen, I'm getting one anklet casually. Because, like, you know, several anklets, okay, you're a harlot. One anklet, tastefully teasing. Accessories reminds you of that anklet conversation. You still didn't have any yourself. No, I definitely got one, bro. Your eyes bored into the box. Should you wear it for Cove's visit today? I'm literally only getting my master's for my school librarian certification to get summer breaks back. back. You're actually so real and based. Should we wear it? Yes, I'm putting my ankle bracelet on. Put the anklet on. Your heart pounded as you slipped the hoop through the clasp and fastened it in place. Would Cove spot it? Your face grew hot as you imagined how he might react, or might not react. Because then, if he didn't react, I'll have to krill myself. Listen, I would love to be a librarian, but they go through a lot, and I don't know if my soul can handle that. Shout out to school librarians and librarians in general. The next thought that crossed your mind was, it would only be polite to get the door for Cove. You went downstairs to wait. You couldn't wait to see Cove, so you went downstairs to meet him when he arrived. Cove knew your house well enough you could lounge in your room. I'm desperate. But desperate, but not too desperate. Oh, listen, I'm desperate with myself. But, like, you know, he doesn't need to know that. You bounded down the stairs, your hand gliding over the rail. You wanted to make sure you got there first. If you didn't hurry, your moms might answer it. It was only a few minutes later when the doorbell rang. As you'd chosen to stand beside it to wait for Cove, there was no delay in pulling it open. Cove was there, just as you'd expected. Seeing you, he flashed you a bright grin. Hey. Hi, Luna. Hi, Cove. Come on in. Once he stepped inside, you beckoned for him to follow you upstairs. Back up in your room, you sat down on your bed and waited for Cove to settle in, as you knew he would. With other guests, you might have offered them a seat, but you and Cove were long past these tentative stages of friendship. Your room was as familiar to him as his own. You watched as Cove sat down in your desk chair, his preferred spot. He rolled it closer to the bed to make it easier to chat, tweaking the angle so he was fully facing you. Once happy with the position, he leaned in towards you, hands held in his lap. His actions weren't the ones of someone who planned on moving from his spot anytime soon, even though you had an appointment to keep together that day. When is your mom leaving?
Don't worry about it.
We've still got some time. She's still got a shower and stuff before she goes. She didn't want me to just keep hanging around while she was doing that.
He lifted his head, his gaze drifting out through the window, and chuckled.
I can't believe she's already leaving. Just when I'm getting used to her being there every day.
He leaned back in the chair, a wry smile tickling his cheeks. She'll be back. He cocked his head thoughtfully before shrugging. He ran a hand through his hair before shaking his head, as if shaking off the topic like a dog whipping off water following a dip in the sea. Cove looked back to you, lips parted as if he was about to speak, but instead his eyes widened and his mouth closed in a tiny frown. Something had caught his attention. Something wrapped around where the end of your leg met your foot. Oh, you mean my anklet? I work in public library right now, and we do in fact see it all. Oh gosh. Salute. You cast your eyes back. He casts your eyes back up to your face, and then down to your ankle, and then back up to your face. He repeated the process once, twice more, as if struggling to hold the two items in tandem. Maybe he was weighing up whether this could be a coincidence or not. You know, whatever makes you feel better. Or maybe he was just too shy to verbalize his thoughts, or was still trying to find the words, and this was the most he could manage. The attention made you feel bashful, amused, thrilled, regretful, pleased, thrilled. You felt energized by how impactful it had been, wanting to leap up, but not wanting to break the spell the jewelry had placed on Cove. On his next glance back to your face, Cove saw your expression had shifted. You watched as his bewilderment eroded into mortification as he realized that he'd been caught staring. He quickly spun in the chair to face the wall instead, allowing you to glimpse the flush that had spread all the way to his ears. He twisted in his seat, wringing his hands and determinedly avoiding looking in your direction again. It seemed that he decided against saying anything at all. Does it look good? You stayed quiet yourself. Sorry, what's the problem, Cove? What should we say? I think we need to be a little cocky, a little confident. What, does it look good? What do you think? Cove mumbled something unintelligible as he slumped lower. With how he was hunched over, the quiet words had no chance of reaching you. You weren't going to get anything out of him in this state. You waited for him to come around before speaking again. Finally, he piped up very softly.
That's,
Did you do it because of what I said before? I mean, you know.
The last few words were whispered as though they were a precious secret.
The ankle bracelet.
Yes, no, maybe. I don't know what you're talking about. You shrugged. Should we be a little coy? Just, and if I did? Should we be straightforward? Just, yes, I did it for you. Like, maybe. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna be honest. His eyes squeezed shut. You had no idea if the answer made him feel better or more nervous. He eventually looked down at his lap where his fingers were flexing and curling in an awkward dance of nerves. His chest rose as he breathed deep.
Well, it looks good on you.
Your heart skittered in your chest like a stone skipping across water, and not like a scone. One big leap from the unexpected compliment, followed by a series of shorter ones as you absorbed the words. You beamed at him. He was looking at you again, at last, and returned the smile shyly. This really couldn't have worked out better, you thought, and there was nothing else he could add after that. The conversation lapsed into another comfortable lull. Cove swung his feet underneath the seat of the chair, eyes resting on you. Having him over here was so nice. No matter how you spent the time, you always felt better for being in his company. You couldn't help but adore him, both as a friend and in a way that plucked at your heart, a vague yearning for more. Maybe it was because summer was almost over that your feelings were rushing in on you now, like a high tide at the end of a long day. Summer was such a meaningful time for the two of you, not only because it was when you first met, but because it was a season that you both could spend almost entirely as you pleased, and you both chose to spend it together. You wanted to let Cove know how much you liked him. You didn't know completely what you felt. You were too scared to let him know. You weren't ready to admit it to Cove now. Oh, I'm ready, bro. I've been ready. Trust. Now was the time. You couldn't go another day without expressing these feelings you held. Listen, if we're going into high school, I need to call dibs, claim dibs, before any girl could even think about the fact that they might even like him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I dibsed it back when we were 8 years old, okay? I can't have other people thinking they think they can slide into these DMs. They cannot. Santa Claus is coming to town. Do not come to my town. Okay. You spoke words of affection. You confessed by kissing him. Listen, we saw what happened the last time that I tried to kiss him. He literally almost broke his skull open like a fucking egg. Let's ask if we can kiss. Instead of just going for it, let's ask. Consent is important. Kiss that awkward motherfucker. Let's ask. Can I kiss you? Coves. Plus, we get to see him embarrassed, which is funny.